Ho, 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 and welcome back. I'm John Stark, MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm going to be talking about Red One. This is the new Christmas movie. It was in theaters in November. It's now on streaming in December. To be honest, like this specific model doesn't bother me because Christmas movies are so weird because when you have even when you had the old format of when things dropped on home video, movies that came out of this season, when they dropped, it was fine. But then you have like the Christmas movies, and they drop, but then they drop at a time when nobody really wants to watch Christmas movies. So rushing to Christmas movies when you had something that dropped in November and had already kind of bombed and faded out of theaters, I don't think anybody should be mad at how quickly this made it to streaming. It was always sort of originally intended for streaming, and then Amazon was like, "Nah, we'll go theatrical." But this does have audio description. Interestingly, not submitted for my consideration, even though I'm in the midst of award season. I'd watch this separately because I don't want to review it after Christmas. Because what the point? What is the point of that? Uh, that's what I'm saying. So this stars Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans, Lucy Liu, J.K. Simmons, and I don't know. It's been compared to like the Santa Claus Avengers, which you could say is Rise of the Guardians, the DreamWorks movie, which already exists. Um, I did think the audio description was fine. I didn't have like it's there are a lot of things here that uh, obviously they had a huge budget here. It was some ungodly amount of money. It was like $250 million or something like that on this movie. So you have like a polar bear, and there's Krampus, and there's all these things where you're like, what is going on here? You know? But it's an action holiday film with mythological characters in it. So I'm sure it just looks like a giant visual effect and green screen. So I'm sure all of the budget just is thrown up there on screen. Whether it looks good or not, that's debatable. But sometimes companies are just a little rushed. If you talk to any VFX artists, you'll know that it's not really that they can't do the VFX, it's that they're given unrealistic times in which to do the VFX often. So, um, yeah, this isn't great. I don't know what accent Chris Evans is doing. Um, feels like he watched like a mafia movie and then was like, "I'm good. I don't need to talk to a dialect coach. My character's going to be vaguely Italian mafia type, and it's going to kind of come in and out, uh, and we'll go with that." It's not a great accent. It's kind of it's, but he plays the adult version. We open up at the beginning with him, and he's this kid who obviously has not had a great childhood and likes to try to ruin Christmas and prove that Santa doesn't exist. And he's been on the naughty list. And we get, of course, like most Christmas movies, they open up into like these weird things. So later on, you find out he's in uh, level 4, naughty list level 4. Like he's like really, really on the naughty list. But um, they this task force, at first they think that he's the problem, but then they end up recruiting him, so he ends up joining like Dwayne Johnson, who's the head of Santa's force, to try to stop this. I don't know. It's this movie's a lot, man. This movie felt like it was trying to set up a franchise, like of things. This movie felt uh like when we kept bringing in characters, I was like, why is Krampus here? Um I don't know. Um I just want a simpler movie, man. I don't I eh. It's sort of like the Santa Claus has done the same thing, right? Like with the sequels, and it's expanded upon it, and there's Jack Frost, and then they had the TV show that had like 2 seasons, and they expanded upon stuff more there, and they had more of these mythological creatures and characters that came into play, and then there was like that other Santa, and I mean, like, just all these other things. But you know what was good was the first Santa Claus movie. It just had a good premise. It was like Santa falls off the roof, next guy becomes Santa, you know? And then it kind of limited its nature to just sort of like the magic and wonder of being Santa Claus. And there were some elves, and it was just Tim Allen and becoming Santa, and he was gaining weight and his facial hair grew. Like, it just was really simple in the magic of this, and this is incorporating so much other bullshit that it just doesn't need to incorporate. It doesn't even have the heart and soul that Rise of the Guardians does with Jack Frost, where once you sort of learn his backstory, it's sort of like this heartbreaking backstory. So, as to why he was chosen to be a guardian, you know, so because he doesn't remember, like he doesn't have, and then as you start to get those memories, and you're like, oh, wow, okay. So that has a lot of weight to it. This never has any weight to any of it. It never really has any, it's not really that funny. It kind of always feels like somebody watched Rise of the Guardians and was like, oh, that's a cool idea. Uh, but we want to do it with more action, live action for adults. And like they curse in this, which is weird. Um, can't remember which word it was, but it was like shit or something like that. Um, so like this film's PG-13, and I'm like, so it's edgier, but it's not edgy enough. Like it's not a full-on action movie. It's trying to be everything and nothing at the same time. It's trying to be broad so it appeals to everybody, but it doesn't want to over offend anybody. So it also is a nothing. It has nothing to say. This is the weirdest movie. I will say though that because it's trying to be so broad in its entertainment, I've already watched and reviewed Nutcrackers. I've already watched and reviewed Dear Santa. Now, those are two films that had a lot of promise heading into them. Um, Nutcrackers, great cast, had sort of like this indie approach to maybe a Christmas movie for the season. It doesn't work at all. Dear Santa, Farrelly Brothers, Jack Black, an interesting concept, doesn't work at all. Red One feels for some reason slightly better because of its broadness and because it really has nothing to say. It never really felt like it was a great concept that didn't work. It never felt like anything here was ever intentionally that brilliant. As a matter of fact, it just makes me look at the budget and go, who gave this film $250 million? Like, who read the script for this? Like, what did you see in this movie? Like, this film feels like something that should have been kicked back for a rewrite. It doesn't feel like a film that was ever fully formed and ready to go, so I can't even be mad at it that much. It's just not a good film. So in the great, like, debate of Nutcrackers, Dear Santa, or Red One, I wouldn't recommend any of them, but Red One is the one that made me the least angry, and therefore gets the higher grade. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, there were things that Nutcrackers and Dear Santa were doing that I actually think were doing wrong. Like, I actually think that the people who were behind those movies, like, actual choices that they could have made where it's like, wait a minute, no. It's like, you can go right and there's a path, or you can go left and walk into a wall. And then you watch somebody walk into a wall and you're like, why would you do that? You know? you had you basically had two ways you could go. One way was into a wall, and the other way was a road, and you chose the wall. I don't understand. Red One just feels like somebody is in the middle of a field. There are no paths. They don't know where to go. They can't see civilization. So they just start walking. And that's kind of what Red One feels like. So is that there never really was a clear concept or idea here. It was just an amalgamation of thoughts and ideas, like Post-it notes. Like this script was made from Post-it notes or something. Like people were like, well, what if we did this? Well, what if we did this? Well, what if we did this? And it just doesn't work. So, um, yeah, I can't be that bad. I'm not that bad at it, but I definitely would recommend this movie. I'm gonna give Red One a C minus. Um, I I had to stop watching like Oscar bait movies to watch this so I could get this out before Christmas, and back to watching Oscar bait movies. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.